We now do the spoogig creepypasta. That's right. I feel like it's not, the background isn't evil and cursed enough, but I really don't know what else to do. I'm out. Thank goodness I was gonna, if I had to head to bed in 30 minutes, so at least I get one story in, if not two. All right. Well, do you have a request before you go to bed? Nicotine mist. Ben drown. That's far too long. Ain't no way we're doing Ben drown. Holy moly. Browse by subgenre. Rituals. I love ritual pastas. I hate this one though. Any of the Zelda ones are pretty friggin' peak. Did they like kick all the video game ones off? Oh no, there we go. Video game. Let's see. Yo, JVK is actually pretty dope. Ritual pastas are also great. Is the music too loud, by the way? JVK is pretty dope, agreed. I lowered it a little bit. Yeah, the Doom music is pretty loud, lol. Alright, fair. Well, we probably shouldn't be listening to this song once we start reading, but we'll figure it out, don't worry. Herobrine? Oh, classic? Classic. Herobrine. There. All right. Every creepypasta in a nutshell. All right. I had recently spawned in a new world in single-player Minecraft. Everything was normal at first as I began chopping down trees and crafting a workbench. I noticed something move amongst the dense fog. I have a very slow computer, so I have to play with a tiny render distance. I thought it was a cow, so I pursued it. Hold on, okay, I said this was gonna be a little quieter. Alright, what's the other? There we go. Okay. Should be better. Where was I? I thought it was a cow, so I pursued it, hoping to grab some hides for armor. It wasn't a cow, though. Looking back at me was another character with the default skin, but his eyes were empty. I saw no name pop up. And I double-checked to make sure I wasn't in multiplayer mode. He didn't say... Fuck. Sorry, we're doing this live, so it's gonna be really bad. I bought the spooky item from this old dude. That's just Majora. He didn't stay long. He just looked at me and quickly ran into the fog. I pursued out of curiosity, but he was gone. I continued on with the game, not sure what to think. As I expanded the world, I saw things that seemed out of place for the random map generator to make. 2x2 tunnels in the rocks, small, perfect pyramids made of sand in the ocean, and groves of tree with their leaves cut off. I would constantly think I saw the other player in the deep fog, but I never got a better look at him. I tried increasing my render distance whenever I thought I saw him, but to no avail. I saved the map and went on the forums to see if anyone else had found the pseudo player. There were none. I created my own topic, telling of the man and asking if anyone had any similar experiences. The post was deleted within 5 minutes. I tried again, and the topic was deleted even faster. I received a PM from a username Herobrine containing one word: stop. When I went to look at Herobrine's profile, the page 404'd. I received an email from another forum user. He claimed that the mods could read the forum user's messages, so we were safer using email. The emailer claimed that he had seen the mystery player too and had a small directory of other users who had seen him as well. Their worlds were also littered with obviously man-made features, and they described the mystery player as having no pupils. About a month passed until I heard from my informant again. Some of the people who encountered the mystery man had looked into the name Herobrine and found it was frequently used by a Swedish gamer. After some further information gathering, it was revealed to be the brother of Notch, the game's developer. I personally emailed Notch and asked him if he had a brother. It took him a while, but he emailed me back a very short message. I did, but he's no longer with us. I haven't seen the mystery man since our first encounter, and I haven't noticed any changes to the world other than my own. I was able to press print screen when I saw him. Here's the only evidence of his existence. Herobrine! You can't even... Oh, there he is. I was like, you can't even fucking see him in the picture. Easy. 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 Oh god, there was... God, there's one. Luna game is hilarious. Username El Titere. Should we do one of my favorites? It's a longer one, but it's one of my favorites. It might be like... Yes, do your fave. All right. I wonder if you can find it like... No, whatever. I'll just... There we go. Come on. Anansi's Goatman story. Saved from 4chan's X on Friday, September 28th, 2012 at 1:31 a.m. Eastern Time. Edited slightly from the original thread to improve grammar and flow. Here's my story. B16. Be black and have family down in Alabama. They farm and own a huge amount of land down in Huntsville. Uncle owns a big house and a bunch of trailers they put out in the woods for hunting or camping. Down south, cousins suggest that we go out there to camp. I'm a city kid from Chicago, so they tease the fuck out of me, collect food, kill a pig and some chickens, and bring necessities to camp for a few days. We get to the camp and it's obvious something's weird. Air has a weird electric smell, like right before a storm, like ozone. We think nothing of it and unpack and go down to a little creek to swim for a few hours. All of a sudden, some older white guy and a white teenager come out of the bushes. He has a shotgun in the crook of his arm and says hello and asks us what we're doing so far back in the woods. Tell him my uncle, who he knows, and say we're out camping. He tells us that we need to be real careful out here and stick together because there's a big animal in the woods. His son, who's my age, asks if he can stay and hang out with us. He says okay. We're gonna stop green texting here because the story's very long and the format's harder to write in. So we end up playing football, dicking around with me. There's the white kid Tanner, 5 of my cousins, and then 4 of their friends. In total, there were 5 girls and 6 boys. We were all around 15 to 17, and we ended up just dicking the day away. Eventually, we head back to the camp and pull out some stuff for a campfire, even though the trailers both had kitchenettes. Tanner says that his family's property sits up against my uncle's. He wants to run home and ask his dad if he can go out camping with us. My cousin Rooster says he's gonna go with him, so it's gonna get dark soon. One of the girls says she also wants to tag along. It's about 7 o'clock and it's starting to get pretty dark. They go grab flashlights, take the trail toward Tan's property, the rest of us chill. We make s'mores, drink, and kiss on the girls. About 30-40 minutes later, smell of ozone again. You can notice it over the scent of the fire we had started. It's really nasty, coppery smell, like right after you had a nosebleed and it stopped. It wasn't exactly like dried blood, but it was that metallic, back of your throat smell. We immediately think that it's some kind of electrical malfunction, or that someone left a hot plate on or some shit. We search the trailers and nothing's going on, but we can all smell it. All of a sudden we can hear people booking it down the path towards us. Rooster, Tan, and the girl all come running into the clearing, out of breath. They don't even break stride. They all run into the trailer, right by where the fire is. We all get the fuck out of there and into the trailers. They end up calming down. Even Rooster's crying his fucking eyes out at this point. All the while, the fire's guttering lower and lower, so my cousins say fuck it and are about to go outside to get the generator out of the shed between the trailers. Tanner goes, fuck no, lock the front door, ain't nobody else going outside. He's been crying too. His eyes are bloodshot and puffy, and his pants are dirty as shit. He goes on to tell us that they went back up to his house. His father said sure, he can go out camping, but to make sure they were careful on the way back, and that maybe they should take one of the hunting rifles just in case. Evidently, Tanner had seen something in their yard a few days before. One of their pigs had been ripped up and half-eaten. They assumed it was just some big cats or coyotes, even though they don't usually fuck with live animals. Tanner went upstairs, packed his stuff, and told his dad they'd be okay without the rifle because coyotes avoid people. Then they started walking back toward where we were camping. Rooster finally stops crying and shaking. The girl already had, but was now just staring at the window with a dumb look on her face. He says they had gotten halfway into the woods toward the camp when they started to hear shit in the forest. It was almost pitch black by this time, so they weren't sure at first what the fuck it was. The girl said she heard something in the bushes right off the trail. They all beamed their flashlights over there, and there was something standing in the woods in a little hollow. Rooster said they shouted at him and told him that he was scaring the fuck out of them, and what a dick he was. He says that's when he realized that the guy was facing away from them. They kept walking and they started smelling that nasty coppery ozone smell. They say that they look off into the forest on the opposite side, and there's a dude standing there too, backward, slightly closer to the path. So now they start power walking, and Tan keeps going. Should have taken the fucking rifle. As they're telling the story, the smell is getting super strong, even inside the cabin. They say that after they started walking faster, a kind of low gibbering had begun coming from both sides of the wood. As they booked it back to the trailer, the girl said she flashed her light out to the side of them and saw something jerking itself through the woods. The gibbering just got louder and louder, and when they could see the light from our campfire, something had come out of the woods about 40 yards behind them onto the track. They just flat out ran as hard as they could to the trailer. I gotta pause for a second and get some more songs. I ran out of music. Let's see. There we go. This is perfect. Silent Hill music. Let's adjust the volume a little bit. Oh, it's even got rain ambience. Ooh, perfect. So we're out in the fucking woods, and we're assuming at this point it's some rednecks or some shit trying to fuck with all of us. All of a sudden, my other cousin Junior starts going about how he went to school with a native kid that was telling him about the Goatman or some shit. We promptly tell him to shut the fuck up because we don't need any spooky talk right now. But he just keeps going on and on about how it's the fucking Goatman, how we're in his woods and blah blah blah. Now at the time, I'd never heard of this Goatman or any of that. But then a couple of years ago, the year before I graduated college, I'd have met him for a rune. Fuck. Now at the time, I'd never heard of this Goatman or any of that. But then a couple of years ago, the year before I graduated college, I'd have met him for a roommate, and I never asked him about it. And to sum it up, it's basically like a fucking man with the head of a goat, and he can shapeshift and get him on groups, people to terrorize them. It's all supposed to be like, kind of like the Wendigo. It's bad mojo to even talk about it, even worse if you see it. Keep in mind, I didn't know this back when I was 16, so my cousin's going, the Goatman's gonna fucking get in and get us. The girls are all terrified, and my cousins are all fucking trying to figure out if it's just some hillbillies or an animal. All of a sudden, the smell just goes away. To this day, I hadn't experienced anything like it. Obviously, smells usually fade away or lessen, but it literally was just like there 1 second and not the next. So it's after an hour, making it around 9 or 10. We've stopped shitting bricks enough to go back outside and stoke the fire again. We figure it was just some assholes trying to fuck with us. So we don't go back home, because we think if we do, they'll chase us through the woods or some crazy shit. Nothing else weird happens that night. We stay another night, and the main part of that night, nothing happens. But around 1 in the morning, we're outside getting drunk and telling ghost stories. As someone is telling some too spooky story I don't remember what about, the smell comes back. It's so fucking strong that one of the girls literally starts vomiting. I stand up, and you can actually feel how clammy the air is. I say we should get inside and that this isn't right. We should have just fucking left. We all go back inside, and we're standing around. My cousin keeps going on about how it's the Goatman. My other cousin Rooster tries to shut him the fuck up, and all the while, I'm just feeling like something's wrong, and I can't figure out what the fuck it is. We end up sitting there for a while. The smell is just as strong, and we're terrified and all huddled in this camper. We end up cooking brats for everyone because nobody wants to go outside. It's one of those packs with 4 brats. We have a total of 3 packs. I grill them up on the stove and give everyone a hot dog. Then get mine. After a while, one of my cousins gets up and goes over to pot to get another one. He starts grumbling about how I got 2 brats and everybody else only got 1. I look at him like he's fucking stupid. I tell him that everybody only got 1 because there were only 12 brats, and if you want more, she'll open a new pack and cook some more. That's when the girl that had been out with Rooster and Tan just starts screaming, "Oh Jesus, oh Lord, get it out." She's crying and shivering, and then it dawns on the cousin standing up, what the fuck is going wrong? Me and him both glance around the room, and I feel my heart fucking sink. I run the fuck out of the cabin, and the girl runs out with us. Trailer door is banging against the side of the trailer, and everybody books it out. One of my cousin's friends asks us what the fuck is wrong. I start counting us. There's only 11 now. I shit you not, my cousin verified. There had been 12 people in the cabin. But being that everybody didn't really know each other well, nobody had noticed the whole fucking time that there was an extra person. And then I realized earlier that I'd kind of noticed something was off. You know how when you're just like dicking around and having a good time, you don't really sweat the small shit? You don't always keep track of certain stuff? I'm dead sure that somebody else had been in the trailer with us. And they had been there for at least a fucking day, eating with us. What makes it worse is that I couldn't figure out who it was because I don't think anyone actually ever interacted with the other person / the Goatman. This girl kept praying to Jesus, and we're all sitting outside. Eventually we get big ass sticks and go back in the cabin, but there's nobody in there. We count again. There's 11 people. We go back into the trailer and lock the door. We explain what the fuck happened. The girl says that she realized too, and that's when she's about to say something. The person sitting next to her grabbed her leg hard, leaned over to her, and said something she couldn't understand. So we're pretty much scared as fuck as we huddle together, and I fall asleep. When I wake up, the sun is just coming up. Half the people are asleep, and the other half are packing our shit up. We all want to walk back home, but like 4 people want to stay until the sun is all the way up. Some people think that we're just fucking around and want to stay in trailers. I just want to get the fuck out of the woods. The girl name was Kira, the one the Goatman had touched. Anyway, I asked her if she really thinks it was something bad, and she says she just wants to go home and she doesn't want to be out the woods alone for another night. So we decided to split up. The 4 that want to go can go, but I have to stay because I have the keys to the cabin and it's my uncle's and I have to lock it up. I'm super pissed at this point because I feel like people aren't taking this shit seriously, and I definitely don't want to be out in the woods for another night. I spend the rest of the day trying to convince the rest of the people, now 4 girls and 4 guys, to get the fuck out of Dodge. Tanner leaves with them to get the rifle and he says he's going to be back. So there's just 7 of us left by 4 p.m. Around 5 p.m., he hasn't made it back yet. And we're getting extremely fucking antsy. The only reason I stopped begging them to leave was because he went to get the gun. At around 5:30 p.m. or so, the one cousin that did stay says the girl Kira's outside. We all look outside, and sure enough, she's standing there by the fire pit with her back to the cabin. I'm thinking to myself, if she was so fucking scared, why the hell did she come back? And then I get this nasty feeling in my gut. Keep in mind, the whole time, the coppery smell had been gone. Now, I realize I can smell just a twinge of it. I say this to the rest of them, everybody, and these are the people that wanted to stay in the fucking woods after we had the goddamn Goatman in our midst, is laughing at me, asking if I set this up to scare them. I'm looking at them like, I'm not fucking bullshitting you all right now. I asked them why the fuck I would play like that. So one of the girls goes aside to get Kira. She gets halfway to her and stops cold. Kira starts heaving. I don't know how the fuck to describe it. It's sort of like someone with their back turned was laughing without actually making any sound. It was this fact that made me realize there's not a fucking sound in the whole woods. It was dead silent. This was like late September, so it was still fairly hot at the time, but super chilly some days too. You usually hear big ass geese honking or some kind of birds or squirrels chit-chatting. I step out the door and tell the girl to come back in the fucking trailer right goddamn now. She backs up into it, and we lock the fucking door. We pull down all the shades except one, put a guy there in a chair to watch Kira. He stands there for like another 20 minutes or so. Eventually the guy turns to say that she's still there, and there's a huge fucking bang at the door. We all jump the fuck up and scramble around the living room of the trailer. The banging is super fucking loud. My cousin's holding on to one of the girls. The other two girls are kind of giggling with nervous laughter, and me and the other two guys are shitting bricks. Then we hear Tan. He's screaming, "Let me the fuck in! Stop fucking playing!" Go over to the door and open it, and he stumbles in with a rifle. There's nobody else outside. Evidently, he had walked up to the campsite. Nothing weird had happened in the forest, but he had seen a girl. Mind you, he said it was not Kira standing there. When he had gotten to the edge of the clearing, she had turned towards him with a slack-jawed look and just stared him down, slowly tracking him as he walked around the outside of the clearing towards the camp. He said it wasn't until he was almost halfway into the trailer that he realized she was getting closer to him. She had started off by the fire, and without him ever seeing her move, she had been turning, inching closer. He said he just ran the rest of the way back to the cabin, thinking it would open. When he got to the door, it was locked. He turned around, and it was about half the distance to the door. He looks around the room, and then gets super pale. He turns me aside and whispers in my ear, "You know there's only 7 of us in here, right?" I get that feeling when your stomach drops to your nuts. It had been back inside the trailer while we were sorting out who was going where. And then when we all went outside to talk earlier in the day, it just slipped back in. We look out the window, and there's nobody there. So we recount. And then I go over and ask everyone how many people were here earlier. And everybody says 8. I say, well, how many people are here now? They all do the count and realize there's only 7 people in the cabin. Tanner brought back a couple of boxes of ammo with his rifle. He told his dad that there was some kind of animal in the forest because he didn't think he'd believe him if he said there was a Goatman. He says that his cousin's supposed to be coming down in a few hours, and that in the morning we can all go back to his place and his cousin will drive us home. Now, I'm really fucking terrified, but at this point I feel better because we can be American and shoot the fuck out of whatever it is if it comes back. Then my cousin gets in this huge argument with one of the girls because she thinks that I'm trying to be funny and prank them. She's getting really scared and thinks I'm not funny. He keeps telling her that I'm not that kind of person. And she says, well, how do you know the girl wasn't just Tanner in a wig? Or if it's really the Goatman, how do we know that this is the real Tanner and the Goatman didn't just kill Tanner in the woods and take his gun? We get in this huge fucking argument about this, where me and Tanner are like, we could seriously be in danger because at the very least, somebody's been sneaking themselves into our fucking trailer without us knowing and mingling with us. And at worst, something bad is in the forest fucking with us. One of the girls is crying and she says she wants to go right now, and we're trying to tell her we shouldn't because none of us are walking through the woods in the middle of the night. At this point, the sun is starting to go down and it's getting a little cloudy out. We eat something and turn on the radio for a while, but we can't really get a station out there with anything decent. So we turn it off at about the time that Tan's cousin shows up. He was like 19, I think. Now, the sun is just barely over the horizon and he has one of those heavy-duty... Fuck. Now, the sun is just barely over the horizon and he has one of those heavy-duty lantern flashlights and another rifle. He walks up to the trailer and we whisper to Tan, asking if he's sure that's his cousin. He says yes. Guy looks behind him and all around the camp, then walks in. He kind of glances at us and looks a little confused. Then he says, where's your other little buddy at? Figured she'd meet me back at the cabin? Is she a little slow or something? He also asks whether we've been cooking blood in the cabin because it smelled like blood and hot pans all the way up the trail. We're all like, fucking nope. We ask him what the fuck he's talking about with the girl he saw. He'd come down the same trail Tan had been using and found one of Yuza's guy's little buddies standing around in the middle of the trail, looking at him slack-jawed. He had asked her a bunch of questions, but all she did was just look at him. Then she smiled, and he said he kept walking. She couldn't seem to keep up with him and kept lagging a little behind. He said he asked her if she was hurt or something, and if she needed any help. But she had continued to stare. Eventually, he turned around a bend in the trail, but when he got back to see if she was okay, the trail was empty. He assumed she had taken some shortcut through the woods to the trailer. We tell him the whole story of what's been going on. I have had him to say we were full of shit, but he just listened and sat down on the couch in the living room. Tanner's cousin goes back to the girl. He says that she'd kept trying to lag behind him, and it kind of weirded him the fuck out. So he tried to keep her in front of him, but no matter how slow he walked, she was always lagging a little bit behind. He smelled this nasty smell, and it got stronger as he got to the camp. Eventually, it got really strong. She had said something really low they didn't quite catch, and when he turned around, she had been right the fuck up on him. He stepped back from her. It was at this point he asked her if she was okay. If she wasn't, he offered to carry her back the rest of the way. She just kept staring. He said he reached out for her, as if to grab her on the shoulder, but he must have misjudged the distance because she was off to the side of where he had put his hand, like she had moved while he was looking dead at her. So at this point, we know this shit's real. Unless Tan is playing a joke, which we can tell he's not because he's almost pissing his pants. They load up their rifles, we eat some more, and we just kind of sit around until about 11. To this fucking day. Every time I think about this, I really pray to God that it's just some huge prank that my cousins played on me and just never revealed, so I would shit myself for the rest of my life. At around 11, the stink of copper turned into an actual gross, blood-like smell, like cooked blood and singed hair. Tan and his cousin, Reese, get the fuck up instantly and grab their rifles. There's like a half knocking, half clawing at the door, and I shit you not, there's this voice. It sounds like when you see those YouTube cats and dogs whose owners teach them how to talk. It says in this halting, weirdly toned voice, "Let me the fuck in. Stop fucking playing." It made my fucking nuts creep up against my body. One of the girls just starts crying and calling for Jesus. It was so fucking obviously not a person talking. It didn't have the right cadence. That's some shit I never realized until that moment. But all people have a certain cadence when they talk, no matter what language. All people have a certain kind of rhythm when talking. This shit didn't have any kind of cadence or rhythm. One of those YouTube cats. That's what the fuck it sounded like outside the door. You can't imagine how this shit sounded. But then you can't imagine how fucked up the whole situation was. So now I'm in full-on terror mode. We keep yelling outside, "Who is it? Stop fucking around, man." And it just keeps saying "in" or "let me the fuck in" for almost 15 minutes. Then the smell goes away for a while. And for the next hour or so, you can hear someone basically creeping around the woods and shit. Every couple minutes, it comes back to the door and says something. Finally, the smell fades away at around 2 in the morning. Reese says, "Man, fuck this," opens the door and walks outside with his rifle. He fires a shot in the air and says something to the effect of, "In the name of Jesus Christ, go away." He fires 2 more times, and then from the woods, right up against the river, across from the trailer, it sounds like something is slowly gibbering and hooting. Then it starts screaming. It sounds like almost like a woman and a cat in a bag screaming together. Like, I seriously have never heard any shit like this. We can hear the brush over that way start to shake. Reese fires over into the tree line and then starts backing up into the building. We lock the door. We can hear the shit keening and screaming. Reese says something had come out of the bushes super low to the ground and crawling toward the cabin. He'd shot at it. Pretty much, that's how the rest of the night went. Literally constant screaming for the next 2 hours and shit moving out into the tree line. But I never came back up to the cabin until everyone had finally fallen asleep. Tan had been sitting in a chair watching the door with his rifle. Nobody else heard or saw this. He told me 2 days later, after the whole thing was over. He said he had been nodding off after the screaming and noises finally stopped. He'd been almost asleep when he saw someone come out of the bathroom and then lay down in the middle of the floor and go to sleep. He just assumed it was one of us and the guy had nodded off. Then he kind of realized something was wrong, and while pretending to be sleeping, he counted us. There were 9 people in the cabin. He didn't want to try to shoot at the fucking thing and have it kill us all then and there, or have Reese wake up and start shooting and we just kill ourselves. So he just stayed awake all night, pretending to be asleep. He said sometimes it would stand up and kind of do this weird jittery thing, or heave like it was laughing, but then it would lay back down. The story closes pretty weak because from my perspective, nothing happened. When we woke up, I noticed that Tan was a little jittery and he had been avoided looking at all of us, but we ate some breakfast, packed up, and started walking to his house. He stayed last in the cabin, so he'd lock up and bring me my uncle's keys. He told us to start walking and then to catch up, which I didn't really want to fucking do. We got a little up the path, and when he came running up, we just jogged back to his house. His cousin took us home. There's a window in the bathroom. Tan had gone to lock up and looked in there. We were too stupid to lock a screenless window, and it was fucking up when he went in there. I'm guessing he had been doing that all along, waiting for us to fall asleep or slip up and then getting in among us. They walked with us all the goddamn way back to his house, and then he said it lagged behind the rest of the group and looked him dead in the eyes before walking into the woods. Alrighty, that was Anansi's Goatman story. It's my favorite creepypasta. Probably have time for a couple more. Sadly, I must nod off myself, but it was really fun to get back to the reading creepypastas. Really fun chaotic stream. We have a good night rest stream. I'll catch you next time. Well, thank you. Sorry for getting late. You kind of left like right at the end of the story. I feel kind of bad for that one. But thanks for having a good time. Thanks for joining us for the stream tonight. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Hope everyone else is enjoying themselves so far too. Pretty comfy and fun stream. Thank you. Thank you. I'm having a good time. All right. I try to remember another one that was really good. I kind of want to do like a shorter one. I wish there was like a... Oh, there's a suggested reading. Perfect. NES Godzilla. I kind of want to do JVK. JVK is a good one. But let's find like a... let's do like a shorter one first, right? What is All Too Human? Why does that sound familiar? Oh, this is a long one. Okay, fuck that. Man, I'm getting kind of sleepy though, I'm gonna be honest. Oh, Channel Infinity is a ritual one, so that should be fun. And it's not too long, right? Let me get a drink of water. Oh, the Silent Hill 4 music's so good. Alright. Channel Infinity. There's a legend circling around the television industry about Channel Infinity. Channel Infinity is hard to get to, and reports vary as to what it actually is. I will tell you how to get there and then what to do. Acquire television, preferably analog for the best experience, and the older the better. Acquire a remote control. It does not have to go with the television you're using. Turn on the TV and set it to a channel that's just static, or just a plain black screen if you're using a digital TV. Basically, any channel you do not receive. Leave the room for about 3 hours. If you have a significant other in the house, have them with you. It's also best to call over a few friends. During those 3 hours, you should acquire a few items. I will list them in order from the most important to the least. Note that none of these are mandatory, but they help. You will want an item that you hold dear, 2 handheld mirrors, a firearm or other weapon, a favorite book, a mobile communications device, a key, a sledgehammer or pickaxe. After roughly 3 hours have passed, re-enter the room. Have everyone else wait outside the door and close it. Stare at the static or blank screen or whatever you want, or whatever you set the TV to until you feel disoriented or freaked out. Then call the others into the room. Give the item that you hold dear to the person you care about the most in the room. Then instruct them to leave. If you now grab an item that you hold dear, hug that person and whisper a secret in their ear. Send them back out and command them not to come back no matter what until you open the door again. This will be harder for them if there are more people, but it will be safer for you. Trust me. Hold the mirrors so that one is reflecting the television screen into the other and the second is reflecting you, so it looks like the television is behind you. Stay like this until a question appears on the screen. Do not grab the mirrors and sit in a chair facing away from the TV until you hear a noise. Grab the remote. There will be a question on the screen. Press channel up to answer yes, channel down to answer no. It will be anywhere from 3 to 26 questions. If reports are to be trusted, the questions will be anywhere from trivial to deep, philosophic, personal questions. Answer truthfully, or you will not succeed in reaching channel infinity. After the questions, one of 3 things will happen. Your favorite show of all time will come on, but in the episode, all the characters will be heart-wrenchingly killed. You will see a picture of your least favorite person or thing ever. So use the firearm or other weapon. Break the TV screen with the weapon. It will then fix itself. It's obviously the easiest of the 3 things. A strange shimmery vortex will surround you, and you will be pulled into an alternate dimension. If you find yourself here, here's what you do. You'll be in a twisted replica of your house. Go to your room, where you'll find the 4 items listed that you will need for this part. Take them, exit your house. Outside will be a more evil-looking version of our world. Sorry, this is actually really fucking dumb. With a red sky, gray sun, dark orange plants, and an ever-present thin vermilion mist. You must go to the nearest public building, example a school, mall, gas station, etc. Use the key on the door and enter. It'll fit the lock. If you do not get a key, climb in through a window. Upon entering, find a room with only one entrance. Sit down and begin reading the book. If you do not get a book, just sit down and be bored or scared. You'll hear footsteps outside the door sometime within the next hour. Don't look up from the book. If you no longer hear the footsteps, count to 250 out loud. Every 10 numbers, you'll hear another footstep closer and closer to the door. Upon reaching 250, you'll hear a knock on the door. If there are 3 knocks, open the door. If there are 4, say "I forbid you" twice, and then open the door. You will see a stone statue of someone you love deeply outside the door. Be a family member, best friend, romantic partner, or even a fictional character. Smash each head to bits with a sledgehammer or pickaxe. If it's female, also destroy the left hand. If you do not get the hammer or pick, push the statue over. Exit the building from the entrance you came in through. It will be night. Look at the moon. It will either be pink or green, and either full or half. If it is pink and half, pull out the phone and call your 3rd most recent contact. Pink and full, pull out the phone and dial a random number. Before they pick up, bite through your tongue. If you do not get the device, pretend to do the things above. Let me pretend to call someone on my phone. Green and half, strip off all your clothing and sprint back to your house. Don't look behind you no matter what. Green and full, to put it bluntly, you're screwed. You'll be dead within half an hour. If it's one of the first 3, you'll wake up in front of the television and you can continue the ritual. After this, you'll reach channel infinity. What you do now is up to you. If you go to the guide function, you will see shows listed such as The Meaning of Life or How to Acquire True Love. Choose one. The amount of people you have outside the door will determine the revelations in the shows. The more people, the better chance you have of seeing shows with life-changing results. Or if you keep watching the static without going to the guide or breaking eye contact with the television, you will see a series of images that will, if deciphered, reveal the answer to your greatest question. There are, at this point, many options. Too many to write here. Just do what you feel like you must, and something will happen. The overwhelming majority of things will be good, but some will be bad. You may leave the room at any point, however, there are 2 catches. You may never speak of what you learned after accessing Channel Infinity, and you may only reach Channel Infinity 4 times in your life. Hope you find the experience enlightening. That was fucking... Okay, why was that like a... That's suggested reading, but it's so ass. Oh, but they got good shit because there's hell.exe. Hell. Oh my god. Actually, I wondered. 12 Polaroids is fucking suggested reading. Get the fuck out of here. That one's so lame. But 11 miles isn't? Maybe it's under E. Nope. Wow. Amazing. Fallout 3 numbers station? Who made this list? Who made this lit? Oh, this is ritual, that's why. Way home. 11 miles is still a ritual one. What the fuck? Alright. Suggested reading. Oh, that's what happened. Okay. So that was... Channel Finney was not suggested reading. I just ended up on the wrong one. The pill. Ooh. The portraits. Ooh, the devil game's a good one too. Smile dog. I actually really don't like the smile dog picture. I don't know what it is about it. I just don't like it. The telltale heart? That's just Edgar Allan Poe. Poe. Alright. Alright, we've got I think the rest of the stream. Alright. We got Alright. We got 3 more stories to read, and 2 of them are kind of long, so we're chilling, right? Because this one's pretty long too, right? It's at a medium pace. All right, we'll do the portraits first. There was a hunter in the woods who, after a long day of hunting, found himself in the middle of an immense forest. It was getting dark, and having lost his bearings, he decided to head in one direction until he was clear of the increasingly oppressive foliage. After what seemed like hours, he came across a cabin in a small clearing. Realizing how dark it had grown, he decided to see if he could stay there for the night. He approached and found the door ajar. Nobody was inside. Excuse me. The hunter flopped down, and you can tell I'm getting tired too, so I hope this is good sleepy time material for you guys. The hunter flopped down on a single bed, deciding to explain himself to the owner in the morning. See that shampoo bottle? As he looked around the inside of the cabin, he was surprised to see the walls adorned by several portraits, all painted in incredible detail. Without exception, they appear to be staring down at him, their features twisted into looks of hatred and malice. Staring back, he grew increasingly uncomfortable, making a concerted effort to ignore the many hateful faces. He turned to the wall, and exhausted, he fell into a restless sleep. The next morning, the hunter awoke. He turned, blinking in unexpected sunlight. Excuse me, I just burped. Looking up, he discovered that the cabin had no portraits. Only windows. Alright. We'll do JBK next. We'll end with the devil game. We'll end on a good one. This Mr. Friend one is like, it's just this dude in this gimp suit. It's fucking with me. JVK 1166z.esp. Look, we have got the creepypasta image here. Fuck yeah. Let me just take a sip. Some people might recall the momentary buzz caused in 2009 by a particularly odd Morrowind mod. The file name was jvk1166z.esp. It's never posted on any of the larger Elder Scrolls communities, only smaller boards and role-playing groups. Gloops? I know in a few cases, rather than being posted, it was sent via PM or email to a quote-unquote chosen few. It's only up for a few days, best of my knowledge. It caused a bugs. Oh, fuck, I cannot speak. It caused a buzz because it was a virus, or seemed to be. If you tried to load the game with the mod active, it would hang at the initial load screen for a full hour and then crash the desktop. If you let it get that far, your install of Morrowind, along with any save files you had, would become completely corrupted. Nobody could figure out what the mod was trying to do since it couldn't be opened in the construction set. Eventually, warnings were distributed not to use it if you found it, and things died down. About a year later, in a mod board I used to frequent, someone popped up with the mod again. He said he was PM'd by a lurker who deleted his account immediately after sending. He also said that the person advised him to try playing the mod through DOSBox, For some reason, this worked. Sort of. The game was a bit laggy, and you couldn't get into the options, load game, the console, or really anything else other than the game itself. The quick save and quick load hot buttons worked, but that was it, and the quick save file seems to be part of the game file, so you couldn't get at it anymore. Some have speculated that the changed game uses an older graphics renderer, making DOSBox necessary, but it didn't look any different. This part I can speak about from personal experience. When you start a new game in JVK, as the board came to call it, once you leave the starting bit in the census office and come to the game proper, the first thing you notice is that the prophecy has been severed box pops up. It's because every single NPC having to do with the main quest is dead, with the sole exception of Jaeger and Bagran, the last of the Dwemer. Their corpses never despawn, so you can go check on all of them. In effect, you begin in a world that's doomed to start with. The second thing you notice is that you're losing health. It's only a bit, but it keeps happening. A little bit at a time. The longer you stay in one place, the quicker it seems to occur. If you let this health loss kill you, you'll find the cause. A figure we came to call the Assassin, because he seems to wear a retextured version of the Dark Brotherhood armor from Tribunal. Even though the expansions don't work in JVK, it's all black, completely untextured, like he's just a hole in space. The way he moves, he gave me quite a start the first time I saw him. Scuttling around my dead body, he crawls inhumanly on his hands and feet, his arms and legs splayed out like a spider. You usually only see him after death, crawling around and over your body just before the reload box popped up. Occasionally, you catch a glimpse of him darting around a corner or crawling on a wall or ceiling. Made the game very difficult to play in the dark. Other than that, the only noticeable difference is that at night, at random intervals, every NPC in the game will go outside for a few minutes. During this time, the only thing they'll say when hailed is, "Watch the sky." Once they return to their normal behavior, they act regularly though. After a while, a player on the board discovered a new NPC named Tyrius, a male Dunmer in the temple at Ghostgate. Two things are noticeable about this NPC. First is his robe. Unique article of clothing that was lovingly rendered with twinkling stars all across it, looking like a torn off chunk of the night sky. The second is that all of his dialogue, in addition to showing up in the dialogue box, is voiced. You can skip it if you wish, but it sounds like it's in the default male Dunmer voice. Some people said they thought the voice was Some people say that they thought that the voice was slightly different, but it was a very, very good imitation. I won't go into the details, but the questline he sends you on us to this dungeon is simply referred to as the Citadel. Up until this point, the quests were all a fairly generic discover the secrets of the ancients type. The entrance to this dungeon is a small island far to the west of Morrowind proper. I eventually discovered that if you use the scroll of Icarian Flight at the westernmost point of the main landmass and jump directly west, you'll end up almost exactly at the island. Even though the dungeon is called the Citadel, it goes straight down. It dwarfs any other dungeon, both in size and difficulty. From a natural cave area, you'll proceed down into an ancestral tomb-looking area, then a Daedric ruin area, and then a Dwemer ruin area. I made it down to the Dwemer ruins before I quit. The creatures here were so strong that a level 20 character would have to take care, and since you can't use the console in JVK, level 20 took a while to get to. And since quick save and quick load are your only options, it's all too easy to get yourself into an impossible situation. I did, and I just didn't have the energy to start over. What I'm telling you now is based on the testimony of those who went further, past the Dwemer ruins. You apparently find yourself in a level like the Dwemer ruins, but darker. Rather than usual bronze, all the surfaces, including those of the creatures, are black. Sounds of machinery are loud here, and grow louder still randomly. There's also steam or fog everywhere, limiting your vision to about 10 in-game feet or so. You can make it through all this, you'll reach a room at the end of the hall. Those who found it call it the portrait room. Like the fire and the torches or other effects from the 3D games, this room has picture frames that always face directly at you, no matter how you look at them. The images in the frames are always randomly chosen images from your My Pictures folder. On the board, those who got to this point had some fun posting screenshots of the portrait room with various pictures in the frames. Usually porn, of course. Oh, we have an image here, right? I think this door area is ripped from one of the Vivek cannons. Hey, Lamau! The end of the hall was another locked door. After admitting defeat and returning to Tyrius, he was found saying, "Watch the sky," in his gravelly voice. What's more, nobody else in the game would say anything. Talking to them would present a completely blank dialogue box with no options at all. They wouldn't even rattle off the usual canned, audible greetings. The only exception was at night. Whenever they'd go up for a few minutes, they'd repeat it. Watch the sky. At this point, one of the players, a friend of mine from the board, noticed, and a few others who got this far agreed, that the night sky was no longer the usual night sky of Tamriel. It changed to a depiction of a real night sky. And it moved. From this point on, everything is based on what this person reported. Eventually, he got himself kicked from the board, but I kept in contact with him for a while as long as he responded. According to him, based on the constellations of planets, the sky started around February 2005. If you died, loaded, or went back to the Citadel, it would start over. When the usual day sky graphics took over, the movement would be suspended until the stars appeared again. In the space of a single night, everything would move about 2 months worth. Since the timescale of JVK was more or less that of the standard game, that meant that a little less than an hour was equal to a 24-hour period. He became convinced that the door would open based on some kind of celestial event. Of course, waiting for that meant leaving the game running. Of course, that meant that the game couldn't be left unattended, thanks to our old friend the assassin. My friend decided that he'd hang out for a whole day to see if anything happened. That'd be about a year's worth of movement. Here's the post he made at the end of his experiment. I loaded in at Sata Need, where it all starts. Wasn't too bad. Just had to check it now and then, move around the heel, make sure I wasn't dying. But check it out. 24 hours exactly in. The assassin learns a new trick. He screams. I was reading, and all of a sudden, this crazy loud shriek just makes me crap myself. It was like something out of a horror movie. I look up and there he is, just crouched down right in front of me. Of course, the second I moved my character, he ran off. When I went back to the portrait room, the door was still locked. Damn it, damn it, damn it. A bit later, he came to the decision that he needed to wait 3 days, 3 years. His reasoning was that the PM advised us to try DOSBox showed up in February 2008. That was the point he needed to get to. After the first shriek, the assassin stops trying to hit you out of nowhere. Now he'll shriek, and if you don't move for a few seconds, after that he hits you. I think whoever made the model was trying to help. At night, I've got my headphones on, and I was just kind of dozing off when he wakes me up with a shriek. I jiggle the mouse, and I'm good. Most was 2 days in from his laptop. Once it was over, fuck. I'm so fucking done. So I wait the 3 days, right? And right after the fucking assassin made me jiggle the mouse, he shrieks again. And I look, and everyone in town is outside. They're all saying, watch the sky. I don't see anything though. But then the game starts getting dark, like really dark. I turn the brightness all the way up on my monitor, and I can still barely see. There are other people in the game, little figures running around in the distance, just going back and forth. If I try to get close, they run off. Now, I was trying to sleep, so the lights were off, and this is kind of creepy. I didn't want to get up to turn on my light because I didn't want to miss anything, but nothing fucking happens. Eventually, I go to the Citadel, and it was still dark, and I had to swim, and the whole time I could see these guys swimming all around me, just barely there. I make it to the Citadel, and it's normal light inside, and I get worried. Sure enough, the portrait room door is still fucking closed. I go outside, and it's all starting over. So that's it. I'm fucking going to bed, and I'm fucking done. The end. After that, a few things happened. First, someone else who got into the portrait room claimed that the assassin was showing up in his regular Morrowind game. Quick explanation. If you reinstalled Morrowind to a different folder, you could have a normal Morrowind install along with JVK. He himself chalked up to an overactive imagination at first. But he reported a couple really big scares of the black figure crawling right at him, or seeing it waiting just around the corner before scuttling off. Another one of those who reached portrait rooms started a regular Morrowind game, but never saw him for sure, which is a couple of maybes, late at night, and always at a distance. Second is my friends started getting really abusive and short-tempered on the board, though we stopped talking about JVK entirely. Got so bad that he was soon kicked off. I didn't hear anything from him for a couple of weeks after that, so I sent him an email. As part of his reply. Hi, Otato, hi. Hi. Welcome. We're chilling out. We're reading creepypastas. I don't know, I had a scare for a second. I thought my mic was muted this whole time, but someone would have surely told me after 50 minutes if I was muted. So, boy. All right. Time to ruin my voice training by doing the deep voice. But that's how the friend speaks, right? This friend, he speaks like that. That's how I differentiate it. I know I shouldn't have, but with classes out, I had some time, so I started JVK up again. It's almost 2011 and I think I got the sleep madness. But stuff is happening. It's still dark. Once it gets dark, it never gets any lighter. It stays like that. People moved a few months ago. Everyone in Satanin just went to that little bandit cave and moved in. They killed the bandits inside. They're just standing around inside. They don't say anything anymore. They don't do anything when you click on them. I quick saved and killed one, and he just stood there until he died without fighting back. And it's like that everywhere. You have to walk. Since the quick travel, people are all in caves now too. But all the cities and towns are deserted. Their people are in caves and tombs. Everyone in Vivek is down in the sewers. I'm going to Ghost Gate next. I'm going to see if Tyrius is still there. See what he says when I get there. Somebody should actually make this. I'm sure somebody has made this. I replied and said that I wanted to see what he said too and waited a day. When I didn't get a reply, I mailed him again. And a couple hours later, he sent back, sorry, I totally forgot. So it's 2014 now. It's always night. The stars are always moving. The whole screen is dark, but you can see the brightest stars moving around. Tyrius was gone. Everyone in Ghost Gate was gone. I don't know where they went. They're not in any of the nearby caves, but there's new stuff. People still don't say anything, but their eyes are bleeding. It's so dark that even with a light spell, you have to get right up against them to see. But there they are, little dark streaks coming down from their eyes. I think I gotta be getting close. I know this is stupid, and there's no way the payoff is gonna be worth it, but I just want to be able to say I stuck it out. I got that one during the day. Later that night, I received a follow-up email. Some of the planets aren't moving right. It's pissing me off. So spooky. When does Ben drown? In 5 years. Drowns in piss. He could never drown in piss because somebody would drink it all. And that person is in chat. Which one of you is the piss drinker? It's time to take a piss. Sorry, I'm ruining the flow of the story. Some of the planets aren't moving right. It's pissing me off. You would drown in brown. Remember, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. If this keeps up, I won't be able to track anymore. It's almost 2015 now. I think. Fuck. You know, I just noticed that there aren't any monsters or anymore either. I'm completely alone outside now. The main quest people's bodies are still lying around though. I went to check on them. I don't need headphones anymore, so I just leave them off. When he shrieks, it's like he's screaming right into my ear. I think I even kind of anticipate it. He's around a lot more now. I'm a lot closer. He's different from the other people who started showing up, remember? They keep running around where I can barely see them. I have to admit, it's kind of creepy at night. Sometimes, when I go to the bathroom or whatever, I swear I can see someone out the corner of my eye. Keeping all the lights on now. I sent him a letter, jokingly tell him to get some real sleep, and left it at that. 2 mornings later, I found this in my email. It's the last thing I got from him. After it, he stopped responding completely. I just got up from a fucked up dream, I think. The assassin shrieked at me, and when I opened my eyes, he was right there, crouching over me. His arms and legs were longer and more like a spider's. I tried to push him away, but when I touched him, my hands went inside and I couldn't get them loose again. Like he was made of tar or something. Then I woke up. I thought he was gone, but when I looked at the monitor, I wasn't where I was. I was in the corpusarium with Yagram. For once, the light was okay. I could see him all bloated on those mechanical spider legs. I sat down at the computer and he started talking to me, not in a box, but like really talking to me. In Tyrius's voice, he knew things about me. He told me things that I'd never told anyone. Some things I totally forgot about. He told me that most nobody had made it this far and that the door would open soon. I just had to hang on a little while longer. He said I'd know when it was time. He said I might be the first one to see what's inside. And then I woke up for real. But I was at the computer. I still wasn't where I was. Right now, I'm swimming out to Citadel Island and I can hear this tapping. It's at my window. It's just over on the left, so I'm sending you this. Because I left my laptop by my bed. It's just a little tap, 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 tap. Like he's knocking his finger against the glass. I might still be dreaming now. I guess that's the end of the story. I know there are a few other tales floating around about this mod, but this is the only one I know of as true, as far as it goes. I deleted my JVK copy of the game pretty much right after I gave up, but I'd like to get the mod again. If anyone sells a copy of the file, I want to see some of this for myself. All right, last one for the night. All right, we're approaching, this is gonna get us 3 hours on the stream, right? We're approaching the second, oh, the first, past 1 hour, right, of the creepypastas. How long did we fucking play Trombone Champ for? Jesus Christ. All right, anyway, we got the devil game. Pray, for devils have no reason. Satan waits to curse your ways. Have you seen it in his eyes in the sunset? Oh boy, form title creepypasta. form tight? Oh, form tight. Seen it in his eyes in the sunset? Have you wondered if he's laughing when he plays? Kansas, the devil game. This is a set of instructions for how to speak with the devil, which, as those of you with any sort of brains might know, is a patently moronic proposition on the face of it, one to likely culminate in any number of thoroughly unpleasant fates. Honestly, it would probably be smarter to publish your credit card number on Facebook or take up a career in crocodile wrestling. But then this isn't going to stop you, is it? Not if you're sincerely interested, at least. Technically, if you do everything just right, there's a fair chance you'll walk away scot-free, and that seems to be reason enough for some people to decide that it's a good idea, especially if you're the fate-tempting, thrill-seeking, scare junkie type, or the desperate type. Which brings me to a point of clarification I ought to make. This is not a manual for making any kind of Faustian bargain, you know, the whole sell your soul type deal. If you happen to bring it up in conversation, you certainly wouldn't be one to refuse. Following through with such a foolhardy bargain, however, would necessitate removing some of the protections you will put in place for your conversation. And I don't think I need to spell out why that would be a bad idea. If you really are mathematically impaired enough to want to trade something that will last an infinite number of years for something that might last about 90 tops, there are plenty of other rituals out there for you to follow. This one, if performed correctly, should only allow you to talk. This perhaps begs the question of why exactly you'd want to speak to the devil in the first place. Maybe some of you just like the idea of making small talk with extremely dangerous occult entities. But for the sake of the human race, I hope most of you aren't quite that stupid. The short answer is he knows things that some of you may have a deep vested interest in finding out. I mean, he's not omniscient or anything, much as you like to pretend otherwise. He's not God, but he's definitely got a supernatural advantage over the kind of knowledge any human would be able to obtain. For example, he probably wouldn't be able to predict when the next world war will happen or tell you the cure for cancer. And he could very well be able to predict the winning numbers for tomorrow's $500 million Powerball drawing, or tell you what deadly, undiagnosed condition might be affecting one of your loved ones. Of course, the Prince of Darkness doesn't just go around giving away winning lottery numbers to anyone who asks, and trusting any sort of information obtained from a being commonly described as the father of all lies is liable to land you in a worse situation you were in than when you started. However, if you're really dead set on finding something out and you've exhausted all other options, there is a way to try to get accurate information from the guy. Good night. Have a good night there, chat member. Take care. Good night. You see, like so many of the more urbane villains in popular culture, the devil is a bit of a penchant for games and gambling. Let's go gambling. Of course, the reason he likes them so much is that he almost always wins, unless you happen to be a fiddler named Johnny or being represented by Daniel Webster. You're probably going to get your ass handed to you, but if you're determined enough to want to face the risks and long odds, a certain game the two of you can play to try and win the information you need. First things first. First things first, though. Start with a description of the summoning process. Then we'll get to the rules of the game, some tips on how to play, and finally, of course, the inevitable litany of arcane shit that might go horribly wrong. In order to contact your conversational partner, you'll need to go to a church at midnight. Doesn't matter what kind of church, large or small, old or new, liberal, conservative, as long as you make sure it will be empty. The last thing you want is for some preacher to walk in on you while you're in the middle of this, for the sake of the preacher's well-being as well as your own. The process probably work better if you try on like a new moon or a full moon or Friday the 13th or Halloween. The actual day is less important than the psychological effect it has on you. As long as you don't try it on Christmas Eve or something stupid like that, you'll be fine. The time is important though. You don't have to start your ritual at exactly 12 o'clock a.m. Greenwich Mean Time or anything like that, but as a general rule of thumb, you ought to show up a bit before midnight and have everything set up no later than 10 or 15 after. Show up a lot before midnight if you don't know how you're going to get in. Shockingly enough, most houses of God do tend to lock their doors at night, at least if no one's there to watch over them, and remember, we want it empty. Got it? There are, of course, certain things you must brain and certain things you can't brain. For this ritual, you will need a full can of salt. You won't use all of it, but it's always better to have more than you need than to have less. 7 candles, red or white being preferable. Something to light the candles with. You would be shocked how often people forget this. Occult ritual or not, they're not going to magically light themselves. A length of red string, rope, yarn, thread, a full-length floor or wall mirror. Ideally, you won't find one of these already present in the church. They're a little bit unwieldy to be lugging around with you during a break-in. However, if there really aren't any there, you'll have to bring your own. You might also find it useful to bring some markers, pencils, paper, flashlight, any sort of tools that might be necessary to secure your entrance into the church. You will not be permitted to bring in any electronic or timekeeping devices. This includes all cell phones, smartphones, tablets, e-readers, MP3 players, PDAs, calculators, wristwatches, pocket watches, kitchen timers, hourglasses, etc., etc., etc. Seriously, it's worse than the SAT. If you're one of those people that has your smartphone practically wired into your brain, don't worry. Bring all those things with you to the church as long as you leave them outside the room where you're going to be doing the ritual. Brought a flashlight, helpful for finding your way around and attracting unwanted attention. Leave that outside too. Also, don't bring in any sort of religious paraphernalia to protect you, especially if it pertains to the Abrahamic religions. And yes, those gothy black cross earrings you're wearing are hanging right side up. They count. If you have any kind of holy symbols like that with you, the devil will simply refuse to appear. Don't worry. You're not going in totally unprotected. In fact, most of your supplies are not for any sort of devil summoning ritual, but for your own protection. Old superstitions and folk magic remedies to guard oneself from evil. From what I know of it, the effect's mostly based on the power of belief, so there are probably numerous other objects, artifacts, and procedures that would work just as well. Like to risk being left helpless at the mercy of the devil in order to test that theory, feel free to experiment. However, for anyone without a psychotic death wish, I'd recommend sticking to the ritual as follows. Once you are sure you have all the right supplies with you, make your way into the church and find some place to set up. It can be anywhere, from the main sanctuary where services are held, to a Sunday school classroom, to a walk-in supply closet, as long as you have sufficient amount of open floor space and are certain not to be disturbed. Set up your mirror first. It's where the devil will appear when you summon him. As such, you mustn't complete the summoning until you've laid down certain wards around it. First, surround the mirror with an unbroken circle of salt. If it's hanging on the wall or doors, simply lay down a semicircle around it instead, making sure the salt touches the wall at both ends. Then wrap your red string around the mirror several times. The color red, especially red string, is symbolic of protection in the folklore of many cultures and religions. This is also why red candles are a good idea. Speaking of the candles, send them up around the outside of your circle or semicircle of salt, spaced at relatively even intervals. No, you don't have to get out the measuring tape and align them perfectly, but do at least try and make it look like they were set up by someone old enough to be trusted with matches. Light the candles in a clockwise fashion, being careful not to disturb the salt. If you break the circle, you'll have to start all over again. And once the candles are lit and burning strongly, your protective wards are complete. You are now ready to proceed to the actual summoning. To do so, you must get the devil's attention and demonstrate your resolve by performing some sort of sacrilegious act in the holy space. Turning a crucifix or cross upside down is fairly conventional, but it's not the only option. For example, I know of a kid who once fulfilled this requirement by scribbling obnoxious graffiti all over a painting of Jesus hanging in his Sunday school classroom. Nice thing about turning a cross upside down is that once you finish your encounter, Assuming you've tried in one piece, you can just simply flip it right side up again and no one's the wiser, sidestepping the relatively minor but irritating risk of having your Sunday school turn into a reenactment of the Spanish Inquisition for the next month and a half. After you finish doing whatever offensive thing you decide on, shut all the doors to the room and turn off all the lights so that the space is lit only by the candles. Face the mirror and stare deeply into it, concentrating on your desired outcome. There are no incantations, no arcane strains of Latin you have to recite. Just look into the mirror and wish as hard as you can for the devil to appear there. After several moments of this, when you feel ready, close your eyes and count to 10, then open them. If all has gone correctly, you will no longer see your own reflection. You'll be looking at the devil, or at least the way the devil has chosen to appear to you. Chances are he won't look like your conventional red-horned demon with goat legs and a pitchfork, nor any sort of other terrible apparition. No point in scaring you off now. Better to lure you in, make you feel safe. To that end, he generally takes on the appearance of a fairly average, nondescript human being. If anything, he's prone to vanity and will lean towards the more attractive end of the spectrum. The only really frightening thing about him are his eyes. No matter how hard he tries, he can't hide the sinister gleam smoldering deep within them. The malevolent amusement and hunger, like the eyes of a spider contemplating a fly struggling in its web. They're supremely confident, those eyes, and without pity. Don't look into them too deeply or you'll begin to feel helpless and paralyzed with dread, losing your hope and will to fight. So you'll probably just be standing there staring at him in shock for a few moments, having on some level expected for the ritual to fail. He'll initiate the conversation by asking you what it is you desire from him. If you can gather your wits enough to string together a coherent sentence, you should respond with something like, I challenge you to a game of question and response. Even if you don't get the words exactly right, he'll know what you mean, and he'll accept your request with a wide, predatory grin of anticipation. He's been playing this game for a long time, you see, and he's very good at it. Most humans, on the other hand, are not. This gives him a chance to, at the very least, thoroughly mess with your mind, and at most, well, we'll save that for the litany of shit that could go wrong. You have to play it very smart to avoid justifying his expectations. The general rules to the game are very simple, with a few caveats that make things more complicated. He'll begin by asking you a question. He always initiates the game. It can be anything, from a piece of obscure trivia, to a riddle, to an extremely personal inquiry. Don't worry, you won't be immediately plunged into hell if you say the wrong answer or anything like that. As a matter of fact, he won't even tell you whether the answer was right or wrong. After you answer his question, you get to ask him one in return. Now here's where the consequences of the response come in. If you answered his last question correctly, he responds to your question as honestly and accurately as he is able. However, if you answered it incorrectly, he is free to lie to you as he sees fit. Perhaps if you asked him something you're better off not knowing, he'll tell you the truth about it anyway. More likely, he'll feed you the most insidious, damaging lie he can come up with. Either way, after he's responded, he'll ask you another question, and the process will repeat over and over until you decide to call it quits. Now you may be sitting there thinking it sounds fairly easy to get information you need. All you have to do is wait for a question you can answer correctly, and then take that opportunity to ask him what you really want to know, ignoring everything else he said. Well, it's not that simple. Devil will never give you an easy question, one that you can be completely sure of the answer to. You may instead ask questions that you have some vague knowledge of, or that you think you maybe know the answer, but aren't really confident, thus forcing you to endlessly second-guess yourself, obsessing over whether or not you can trust the information he gives you. Perhaps you'll think what he said was a lie, wish it was a lie, but be eternally consumed by doubt, unable to fully convince yourself that you were wrong. Or perhaps you'll have to make a huge choice based on information that he gives you and be tormented by fear and indecisiveness as you realize that your fate, and perhaps the fate of others as well, rests entirely upon whether or not you are able to correctly recall some arcane piece of trivia that you don't even remember now. You'll never remember the exact question the devil asked you, by the way. That would make it too easy for you to go back and check your responses. Or maybe, instead of testing your knowledge, he'll ask you something personal, something you lied to even yourself about. You'll answer back to him thinking You've gotten the question correct. No, I don't resent my sister. Yes, I would turn the money into the police. But he'll know better than you do that you're lying. And he'll lie to you in return. And you'll believe him. You'll believe him until you're no longer able to deceive yourself, and by then it might be too late. Or maybe he won't even give you a chance to get an accurate response at all. Maybe he'll just ask you endless strings of completely impossible questions, making you more and more frustrated and disheartened as you realize you'll never be able to force him to tell you the truth. Questions like, what's the exact height of Mount Everest in centimeters in the year 1666? Or what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? Although, knowing his sense of humor, if he asks you the latter, he might consider African or European a correct response. There are a couple of ways to short circuit this particular strategy, however. Additional rules and courses of action that make the game more interesting prevent you from being stonewalled completely. In all honesty, though, he probably would prefer if you want to try one of these options anyway. The first is ask him a riddle instead of a question. If you somehow manage to stump him, and he answers the riddle wrong or gives up, he'll be obliged to give you a truthful response to your next question. If he answers the riddle correctly, once again, don't worry. He won't pounce on you like a sphinx or a dragon owl. What will happen is that he will get a pass, allowing him to lie in response to one question he would otherwise be obligated to answer truthfully. Honestly, if he gets a pass, you might as well just give up and quit the game right there. It's nearly impossible to determine when he's telling you the truth under the best of conditions. Adding another layer of complexity by constantly trying to figure out when and if he's used his pass is about enough to make any normal person's brain explode. There's no way. Just forget it. Second option is if you take a dare from him. If you accept it and vow to follow through, then once again you'll have to answer your next question truly. If you choose instead to reject it, he'll get another pass. Get some water. I am feeling like I need something to eat after the drinks I had earlier. I'm like, oof. I think it's also because I'm tired, so I'm getting that like extra like kind of like woozy. Man, I gotta take my prog tonight too. I'm fucked. I'm gonna pass out right after this stream. There we go. Now, before you freak out and reject that whole idea completely, you should know that he won't ask you to do anything overly dramatic or unspeakably evil, like blow up a hospital or murder somebody. As a rule of thumb, most dares won't involve direct loss of life or any major felonies. However, they certainly won't be easy. Inflicting severe pain on yourself, doing something that terrifies the shit out of you, cutting off a treasured relationship, publicly humiliating yourself or someone you love. All of these things and more, things you might not even be able to imagine, are completely on the table. If you're willing to go that far to put yourself in that kind of position, you'll get your answer. However, if you manage to come up with the one thing that you simply can't or won't do, well then once again, might as well just quit. One last thing, don't think you can just tell him you're going to do something and then not do it. If you accept a dare and don't follow through with it, let's just say there will be consequences. Just suck it up. Keep your promise, no matter what it was. Trust me, better off that way. Finally, when you've either gotten the information you wanted or given up on it completely, you may end the ritual. Fuck. Finally, when you've either gotten the information you wanted or given up on it completely, you may end the ritual by simply thanking the devil for accepting your request, bowing politely at the waist, and bidding him farewell. The surface of the mirror will seem to swim and flicker for a moment, and then you'll be looking at your own reflection again. Only when you're absolutely certain that you are looking into your own two eyes may you turn away from the mirror, flick the lights back on, and begin dismantling your protections. Now, and this is important, even if you haven't gotten the information that you wanted, you must end the ritual in this manner before 66 minutes have elapsed. Well, I suppose that technically you have 66 minutes and 6 seconds. Subtle, right? But if you're seriously going to try to cut it that close on any kind of timekeeping device, you're probably screwed anyway. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is that you keep to this time limit. I'll save the reason behind it for the end, but don't skip ahead. I've got a few important tips on how to play. 1. Be very careful what sort of personal information you give out. Try not to talk about yourself, especially your emotions and problems, any more than absolutely necessary. This guy knows human psychology like the back of his hand, and he will get inside your head. It's like talking to Hannibal Lecter. Give him enough to work with, and even if you don't believe a single word he says, he will still find ways to fuck with your mind like nobody's business. If anything he asks makes you even remotely uncomfortable, do not hesitate to lie through your teeth. There can be plenty of other questions. On a similar note, try to keep the game on track and moving briskly. Unstructured interactions of any kind are to be avoided. Chances are that at some point he'll try to draw you off on a tangent, discuss something that fascinates you, analyzing the response you've given him, finding some other excuse to speak at length without moving the game forward. It's not only a waste of valuable time, but also another excellent opportunity to mess with your mind. If you choose to give him a riddle, use one that you've made up yourself. If your riddle has ever been written down anywhere at all, from the pages of The Hobbit, some long-last tome of ancient magic, he will already know the answer. That said, it has to be a legitimate riddle. When the answer that makes with an answer that makes logical sense from some angle. You can't just ask something like what's green and has 10 legs and hops and then claim that for some inexplicable reason the answer is marshmallows. Nor can you ask him a straight up question like, what have I got in my pocket? He probably knows it anyway. There's no hard and fast rules to determine whether a riddle makes sense or not, but you're a reasonable human being. Your ancestors ate from the tree of knowledge. Please, for the love of crap, use common sense. If you choose to take a dare, slight chance the devil will ask you to do something seemingly easy. Deliver a letter, for instance, or scribble a 10-digit number on a public restroom stall. If he does ask you to do something like this, you have even a shred of common decency in you, do not accept. Chances are that he's using you to further some sinister plot, or one liable to ruin a lot of lives and harm a lot of people. Who knows? Maybe you're the type of person who doesn't mind throwing an unknown number of total strangers under a bus to find out what you want to know. But at least be aware. That is what you're doing. Number 5, last but not least. Be very aware of the time. It might be helpful to do some practicing beforehand and get a feel for how long an hour is without a watch. That will probably put off discussing the things you're most keen to find out as long as you can. As long as you can. As you near the 66-minute deadline, he'll start trying harder and harder to distract you, captivate you, and otherwise keep you playing until it's too late. He'll string you along, feed you little glimmers of false hope, keep you thinking, just a few more minutes, I'm almost there. Don't fall for it. Don't go over the time limit, no matter what. Now, you might be thinking this game really doesn't sound all that dangerous so far. Threats of psychological damage rarely seem to carry the same weight as threats of physical harm, even though their costs are often just as great. Hate to burst your bubble, but the game is far from safe. There are plenty of ways for you to seriously screw yourself over, both physically and mentally, not to mention spiritually, and it is with these that I will conclude in the vain hope that they make some sort of impression. First, while you're speaking with the devil, do not let him out of your sight. Keep staring into the mirror no matter what happens. He will undoubtedly try various tricks to make you look away. You'll hear noises behind you, feel eyes in the back of your neck, see shadowy phantoms writhing in the depths of the mirror. A cold breath will blow upon you from behind, smelling like the crypt. A deep silence will settle, only be entered with a loud smack directly behind your head, giving you the worst jump scare you've ever had. Hell! The devil may even abandon a measure of his own dignified facade and give a sudden jump of feigned shock, shouting loudly and pointing behind you with a very convincing look of terror on his face. Whatever he might test you with, you must not look away from him. If you look away, if you lose sight of him completely, even for 1 second, you will look back in the mirror to find him gone. Well, not gone. Out of the mirror. In the room. With you. Exactly how much of your body the police will find the next morning and what state it's in will depend entirely on the sort of mood he's in. The same thing will occur if you break any of the protections laid down before beginning the ritual. interrupting the circle of salt, letting the red strain unwind, knocking over a candle and letting one go out. Any of these things will free him from the mirror, and then, well, we're all a bunch of creative horror junkies. I'm sure you can fill in the blanks. On a different topic, you may reach a point in the game, probably after a long series of maddeningly impossible questions, where the devil asks you the deceptively simple question: what is your full name? You must not give it to him. Names can be things of great power. Although the devil will, of course, already know your name, telling it to him yourself is akin to inviting a vampire into your home. Your name is deeply synonymous with your own inner self. Thus, giving him your name is powerfully symbolic of giving him yourself. If you're foolish enough to make this mistake, all of your protection will be for naught, and he will seize upon your unwitting offer with malicious glee, stealing away your soul and dragging it back with him to hell. At least this way, the police will find a complete, identifiable body. As a matter of fact, your vacant shell will be totally unblemished, seemingly having dropped dead of sheer terror. Then there's a matter what happens if you go over the time limit. This is arguably the worst thing you can do. You won't think so at first. That will give you no indication that you exceeded the boundary, and you will conclude the ritual as if nothing had gone wrong. Perhaps as the devil's image in the mirror trembles and gives way, you'll see a particularly nasty, triumphant smirk flash across his face. This will be easily dismissed as your imagination. You'll turn the lights back on, gather your belongings, and go to leave the room. When you open the door, you'll see nothing. That's right, nothing. Just a flat, white void extending infinitely in all directions. Only the room which was reflected in the mirror will now exist. Incidentally, if you turn back around and face the mirror again, you may catch a last glimpse of your own reflection. Perhaps it'll even turn and favor you with a smirk and a cheeky wave before stepping out the door into the perfectly normal church hallway. As you may have already figured out, you yourself are no longer in the church at this point. Your soul is now trapped in the mirror. The devil has taken the liberty of possessing your body, now that you're no longer using it. Pound on the glass and scream all you like, you'll never get out on your own, and no exorcist can help you. But don't worry, it's not like you're in hell, right? And at least, not necessarily. What you have to understand is, the human soul, stripped bare of its flesh, is a deeply volatile and vulnerable thing, especially when trapped in the land of the living. You are now an entity of purely mental properties, and as such, the barriers between what is real to you and what is imaginary have been completely dissolved. You'll fill that reflected room with your anger, your sorrow, your fear at being trapped. These emotions will begin to coalesce, given form by your mind. If you're not particularly imaginative, these creatures may not be too terrible, may not be able to inflict too much horror or pain. With time, you may even be able to teach yourself to get rid of them. If, however, yours is a mind haunted by monsters, a mind that is vibrantly creative and imaginative and more than usually twisted, well, there's no telling what horrors might come clawing their way out of the maelstrom, tasting sweet release from the confines of your subconscious, hungering for your terror and suffering. They will refuse to be banished, dragging you kicking and screaming into an endless positive feedback loop of pain and fear. Needless to say, if you're a regular patron of websites like this one, you're probably pretty well fucked. There's only one way to release from the mirror and the world that you've created therein. They say that if you call the devil once more and ask him to free you, he'll be willing to take you out for the usual fee, of course. Who knows? Maybe if your imagination is twisted and powerful enough to create a personal hell that leaves you begging for the real thing, those talents might be put to good use. There are over 7 billion people in the world, after all. Even the devil himself can't be messing with all of their minds at once, and talented help is always appreciated. Of course, the corollary to being trapped inside the mirror is the devil now gets to do whatever he wants in your body until sunrise. And around that time, your body will mercifully drop dead from the strain of the possession. An autopsy will probably identify the cause of some kind of coronary event. Don't get too relieved, though. He's perfectly capable of stirring up enough trouble in those few hours. For instance, he may decide to do something big and dramatic, like purchase a large meat cleaver and go on a murder spree. starting with the names in your address book and working his way down to complete strangers if he has time. Or perhaps he'll focus on only one person, someone who trusts you completely, using your persona to get him or her alone and vulnerable, and then, well, no need to describe it here. Once again, I'm sure you can think of a few things. Starting to see why I call this the worst outcome yet? Of course, there's also a chance you won't lay a finger on any of your loved ones, instead deciding to do something a little more subtle, more insidious, like dropping off a few nondescript, unmarked packages on certain doorsteps in the dangerous part of town, or locating a particular dusty, age-yellowed text in the storeroom of the local library and intentionally misfiling it under the young adult literature section. Or whispering 7 very choice words in the ear of the distracted-looking young redhead waiting for the 3 a.m. subway train. Or maybe he'll decide that in this age of waning superstition, not enough people are getting interested in his games, and the knowledge of them is in danger of being lost. Maybe he'll decide he needs to get the word out a little bit more, do a little bit of networking, attract some new suckers or challengers. Maybe he'll take a quick peek at your browser history. See where the impressionable, curious minds are hanging out these days. Maybe he'll even write a quick tutorial in modern parlance rather than some inscrutable, obsolete, demonological text. Post on the internet and see how many bites he gets. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe if you've made it this far without Shine, a little twist at the end isn't going to put you off, is it? I'm sure there are plenty of intrepid adventurers among you with burning questions that you'd like answered, and you're all a smart bunch. You all know the pitfalls, the conventions. You live and breathe this sort of thing, do you not? There's no way you'd fall into any of the obvious traps, right? You're not some Dick or Jane off the street, after all. You'd be bringing a whole new level of competition. You would. Oh, excuse me for just a moment. I think I hear someone calling for me. What? You went out that badly already? Must be one hell of an imagination you got on you. Perfect. There we go. That was it. That was the devil game. That was the last one for the night. It's kind of a corny ending, but the rest of it's pretty good. Personally, in my opinion, I like it. I don't know. It's a lot cornier than I remember. I will give it that much, but it's okay. Because it's all about nostalgia anyway. I am definitely ready for bed, though. I'll give you that much. I'm sick of talking. Anyway, guys, thank you all for having a good. So thank you all for coming. I hope you've had a good night. I hope you enjoyed yourselves as much as I did. Maybe more, maybe less. But I hope you at least had a good time. That's all that really matters. I'm killing time because I don't know what I want to play to exit the stream. But I think I found something. So, if anyone's still around, once again, thanks for stopping by tonight. Take care. Bye-bye.